Good evening. Welcome to the February 13th Fort Mill Town Council meeting. We'll call to order. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Just after that, Ronnie will give an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for another beautiful day you've given us. We thank you for the many blessings of life. Help us tonight to conduct the town's business honestly and fairly, and we give you the praise for it all. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. A few housekeeping rules. I will tell you this is one of the longest agendas I've seen in the 12 years I've been involved with the town council. So we're going to do all we can to keep it moving and keep everybody awake. So if you would, please turn your cell phones off. Please do that so that we're not interrupted or you're not interrupted, so that we can move forward. If anyone is representing a group, please select a person to speak on behalf of the group if the message is the same. We try to keep our business meetings professional and ask that you refrain from clapping or speaking out of order. So don't have too many of those, but it's always a good reminder. One item for information purposes. In the state of South Carolina, the Municipal Association has been working with business interests to tackle the complexities of business licensing. This week, or this past week, the House and the Executive Subcommittee at the Senate, they were looking at bills original intention was to standardize the process of business license. And I'm trying to put this in simple terms. But as bills go, unfortunately, the standardization process also included a few things that are not positive for municipalities. As a part of those bills, it's unfortunate that the wording would create some inequities among businesses. It would grant exemptions to certain business types, forcing city officials to choose between increasing business license rates for all other businesses or reducing city services. It also strips the authority of cities and towns to manage business licensing, and it will reduce city revenue. Bottom line, both of these bills are bad for cities and bad for the majority of small businesses due to the inequities created by the special tax exemptions. I did speak last week with the Chambers of Commerce, also with a couple of our representatives. If you would, if you're in the presence of those or you feel so inclined, please contact them and help them understand that we struggle to do business the very best that we can. Taking that process outside the hands reduces the local government that we work so hard to provide for you. So we would certainly appreciate any support for that, and we'll keep you posted on how that's going. Council, you have seen the minutes from the January 9th meeting. Any changes, deletions, or additions?
Make a motion to accept.
We have a motion to accept, and we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And we will please record those minutes. And I failed to say that Ms. Heemsaw is out this evening. She has the crud that's going around, so keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and I'm happy she didn't bring it here. So that's a good thing. I hope she feels better soon. Pursuant to Section 246 of the Code of Ordinances for the Town of Fort Mill, any resident may appear before council for the purpose of providing public comments on any municipal matter except personnel. Those who wish to speak must sign the public comment sheet prior to the start of the meeting, and we do have one. So, Mr. Brassey, would you like to come to the front?
My comments related to item 2 on the lengthy agenda. So
if you'd rather, that's not a problem for us. We do have a lengthy agenda. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, presentations. Presentation number 1, January financial statements. Shantae Bowler, our finance director, does a lovely job of this each month. Hi, Shantae.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Excuse me. Evening, Mayor and Council.
Just barely. Just barely.
As usual, it's my pleasure to come before you with the snapshot of the financials. this being for the month of January of 2017. We are 4 months into the fiscal year, and our target is at 34%. I will say that things are progressing nicely, moving along well. As the time goes by, our revenues are going up, as well as our expenditures. So we just like to let you know where we are. Nothing out of the ordinary has occurred that we feel that you might need to know of. Concerning our other funds, our local accommodations tax, we've collected to date $174,841. For our impact fee collections, fire protection, $244,423. Municipal facilities, $421,107.88. You will see later on in the agenda an item that's pending your approval for an expenditure of the municipal facilities impact fee funds. And for recreation, we've collected $1,172,880, which gives us a total collection since inception of $1,838,412. As an additional side note, I will let you know that our audit is underway. Things are moving along fairly well according to our time frame, so we expect to bring the audit before you for the public presentation at your March meeting. Also, we are happy to report tonight, this is what we've been celebrating this week. We have finally worked through the process to be able to receive payments via electronic files from our customers' personal banks, their bill pay system. So
good job.
That's been a huge milestone for us, and we're happy to have it in place now. We started receiving our live files this week. We've received 4, totaling $26,000, which was about 368 transactions. So, woohoo!
Congratulations.
This ends our report, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Shantae?
How will we let people know about that new service that's available?
Actually, we can have Caroline to post that for us on our website. We will be putting a little blurb on our utility bill to let folks know that most of our customers who already pay through their personal banks, this is the piece that will make them happy, because what has to happen now, or was happening, they were paying through their bank, but their banks were producing paper checks that were being mailed to us, and it was scary when I would look at a cashier's desk and she had a stack of checks like that, because they would come in sometimes in batches. So we don't have to touch those now. They're coming through file. We hit a couple of buttons for it to post, and voila, it is done. Thank you.
That is great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Shantae. We'll move into the public hearings portion of our agenda. For public hearings, if you need to speak, please know that there is a time limit and it will be noted. Public hearing item number 1, an ordinance annexing York County tax map number 73800000003, containing approximately 1.15 plus or minus acres located at 1836 North Doby's Bridge Road. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 1.
Have a motion to move into the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have anyone that would like to make comment? Second call.
Need to call for a vote.
I hadn't
Get a
done.
motion in a second.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I got to trying to hurry too much. We need a vote to open that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Now, anyone that has a comment? Hearing none. Second time. Hearing none. We can close public hearing item number 1 without another vote. Public hearing item number 2, an ordinance annexing York County tax map number 717-00000023, containing approximately 2.08 plus or minus acres located at the corner of Springfield Parkway and the U.S. Highway 21 bypass. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move into public hearing item number 2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, any comments, questions, thoughts? Hearing none, we're closing public hearing item number 2. Who? Or is this the one?
It's technically 3, I apologize. I'll jump up to 3.
I was gonna say, I'm looking straight at him and I don't see anything. It's closed anyway, you're too late. Kidding. Okay, we're closing public hearing item number 2. Public hearing item number 3, an ordinance amending the mixed-use concept plan and development conditions for the Rutledge MXU project consisting of parcels currently or formerly known as York County Tax Map numbers 71700000004 and 005, and 717000023, such parcels, I think I left a 0 out of that, but you'll understand. Such parcels containing approximately 49 plus or minus acres located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Springfield Parkway and US 21 bypass. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 3.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. I think this is your turn.
So in the interest of speed, thank you, Tom Grassi. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with a few of you over the past month about the project. There was a few questions about what we were going to do as far as amenities and the walking trail we intend to build. I won't get into all that unless some of you have questions. Appreciate the time that you're going to spend tonight on the agenda, so if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Otherwise, we appreciate your support.
Thank you for your communication to us and the additional details you provided. We certainly
Okay.
appreciate it.
I think it's important to note that folks like you that make yourself available for all of us independently or as a group. That's very important and doesn't happen every time. So thank you so much
Thank you, ma'am.
for making that available to this council so that we can make a good
That's the
decision.
campground, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions for Mr. Bradley? Hearing none. Thank you so much. Public hearing item number 3 is closed. Public hearing item number 4, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the town of Fort Mill so as to change the zoning designation for York County Tax Map number 02005050005, containing approximately 6.36 plus or minus acres located at 513 Bank Street from R25 residential to MXU mixed use. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 4.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of opening this item, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Do we have anyone that has comment on this particular item? Second call, no comment. We're closing public hearing item number 4. Public hearing item number 5, an ordinance providing for the First Amendment to the development agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated so as to remove a 6.73 plus or minus acre portion of Tract 4 from the terms of the development agreement and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 5.
I have
Second.
have a motion and a second, and I'm grateful for you guys keeping this moving. All those in favor of opening this item, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Public item number 5 is open for discussion. Question.
Exactly where is this?
It's
The particular tract?
Yeah,
It's part of the Kingsley.
it's King, okay.
Any further questions of the public hearing?
I don't think
Bank
it's-
Street.
Bank Street Gym.
Bank Street Gym,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Bank Street Gym.
Oh, that's what it was.
Any further questions from council? Hearing no other comments from the community, public hearing item number 5 is closed. Public hearing item number 6, an ordinance adopting a mixed-use concept plan and development conditions for the Bank Street MXU project. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 6.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, this public hearing item number 6 is open. Any comments? Questions? Hearing none, we will close public hearing item number 6. Public hearing item number 7, an ordinance providing for the First Amendment to the development agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Pace Development Group Incorporated so as to amend the setback requirements for future development on corner lots. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we move into public hearing item number 7.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Do we have anyone that needs to make a comment or question in regards to public hearing item number 7? Hearing none, we're closing public hearing item number 7. Public hearing item number 8, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for the town of Fort Mill, Article 2, Requirements by District, Section 9, HC Highway Commercial District so as to add tool and equipment rental facilities as a conditional use within the Highway Commercial District. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to move into public hearing item number 8.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of opening this, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. And hearing none, do we have any questions or comments on public hearing item number 8 for conditional use? Hearing none, we are closing the public hearing item number 8. Thank you for your patience. That was 8 public hearing items. We do that so that residents and those operating within our community can come and make public comment before council. Thank you. Old business items. Old business item number 1, second reading. An ordinance annexing York County Tax Map number 738-00000003, containing approximately 1.15 plus or minus acres located at 1836 North Doby's Bridge Road, that is Ward 4, Mr. Moody. Staff recommends that we approve. The Planning Commission was unanimous in their recommendation to approve. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept old business item number 1.
We have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to accept. Do we have any questions, comments?
Joe, any changes since last time?
No.
Any change or updates? Okay.
No changes since the first reading. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor of approving second reading on old business item number 1, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Old business item number 2, second reading, an ordinance annexing York County Tax Map number 717-00000023, containing approximately 2.08 plus or minus acres located at the corner of Springfield Parkway and U.S. Highway 21 bypass. This is Ward 2, Mr. Helms. Staff recommendation is to approve. Planning Commission recommendation is unanimous to approve. Do I have a motion?
Move to accept old business item number 2.
A new voice.
Second.
Phaedra, be quiet for once.
That's my board.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any questions? Has anything changed since the first reading, Joe?
Nope.
All right, no change
This is
since
that
first reading.
triangle.
This is that little strip to
Yeah,
allow access
okay.
into the backside of that property.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'm calling for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Old business item number 3, second reading, an ordinance amending the mixed-use concept plan and development conditions for the Rutledge MXU project consisting of parcels currently or formerly known as York County Tax Map number 717-00000004 and 005, and 717-000023. Such parcels containing approximately 49.0 plus or minus acres located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Springfield Parkway and US 21 bypass. This is Ward 2, Mr. Helms. Staff recommends approval. Planning Commission recommendation is unanimous to approve with modifications. Do I have a motion?
Move to accept old business item number 3.
Have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. Do we have questions, comments? Joe, would you like to talk about the modifications?
Yeah, on this one, there are 2 items for your consideration. At the last meeting and reviewing the video from the meeting, the applicant had requested approval to increase the overall density for the project from 235 apartments to 245. That was their request. The Planning Commission recommended in favor of the amending the mixed-use concept plan, but they did recommend against having the additional 10 apartment units. And at your last meeting, it wasn't clear if council was approving the request as submitted with 245 or as recommended by the Planning Commission, which was 235 apartment dwelling units. So I think for second reading, we would need to have that clarified in the sake of your motion. The other one, we have had some discussion. The Planning Commission recommended including a buffer on the Springfield Parkway. I'm sorry, not a buffer, an additional setback on the Springfield Parkway side of the project to accommodate future widening of Springfield Parkway. We've also had some discussion about including an additional 25-foot setback on the Highway 21 side of the project. We believe there's a pretty good opportunity that 21 could make it onto Pennies 4, which will go before voters later this year. Later on in your agenda, when we get into the Clear Springs development agreement, Clear Springs has actually agreed to a 25-foot setback on 21 to accommodate future widening. So if that's something that would be amenable to the applicant, then we would also recommend including that modification as well.
Is that 21, that's in addition to the setback that's on it right now, or is that from, where's that 21 coming from?
25.
Or 25, I'm sorry. Is that from where?
25 feet from the current edge of the right-of-way. Right-of-way right now is 100 feet.
Right.
And from my conversation with the county, because it is a U.S. highway, it does have a wider right-of-way than you would
Right.
normally have for a two-lane road. They said DOT typically likes to have it to about 150 feet for a 5-lane section. So at most, it would be 25 feet on either side, which was the reason for recommending 25 feet. From my conversation with the county, they typically try to negotiate those down below 150-foot right-of-way. So it may end up being quite a bit less than that, but for the sake of this item, we would recommend, again, if it was agreeable to the applicant, recommend having a 25-foot additional setback off the right-of-way. Trying to pull up the concept plan. Our internet's down right now, so unfortunately we can't pull that up on the screen. But if you have your iPads, you should be able to pull that up and see it.
The iPad's just loaded and reloaded again too, so
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, if you're on the Wi-Fi, it won't work. If you go into settings and take it off Wi-Fi and go into 4G, you should be able to load that.
I personally think that the recommendations of the Planning Commission are prudent. I think we've all seen what can happen when we don't look ahead and set aside the right-of-way needed to expand our road system. So I, for one, and I'm only one, agree with the expanded 25 feet. The 10 units. I believe you were correct that during our last council meeting when we had this item, it was not clear that we voted on yes for the 10 units. If we looked back at the wording, I think we did. But I did not understand from the last meeting that the Planning Commission had said no. Council, were you aware of that? Do you have
I
a...
didn't know they said no.
Yeah,
I think we were aware of that in the last meeting.
I wasn't. I didn't catch that. A little nuance. Okay. Well,
So has that been discussed with the developer?
The reduction in the units?
That and the setback?
Yeah, we have had some dialogue back and forth. The applicant was still requesting approval to go up to 245. Staff was supportive of going up to 245. Where the current density for the project is 5 apartment units per acre, and adding the additional 2 acres, which you just gave second reading to on your last agenda item.
Right.
Continuing the same approved density, 5 per acre with 2 additional acres would be a net increase of 10 additional apartments. So in our opinion as staff, we felt that it was consistent and appropriate for that location, but Planning Commission, while they supported the amendment for the mixed-use plan to incorporate the additional 2 acres, they did not recommend in favor of the 10 additional apartment units.
And is that because of the right-of-way? I mean, because we're pulling right-of-way on 21 and Springfield, is that why they said no?
No, I mean, from the discussion they had at the Planning Commission meeting, it was basically those who spoke up, it was their opinion that the additional 2 acres was attached primarily for the purpose of providing access to Springfield Parkway. I think the exact words were it was a throwaway piece of property. And now I know the applicant spent a significant amount of money on that throwaway piece of property, so I'm sure they would probably disagree with that interpretation, but that was what was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting.
Joe, is there such a thing as a saturation metric for municipalities and apartment-style living? Do we have anything that's provided from census data, state data, or planning data that would tell us when enough is enough?
I wouldn't say there's any sort of standard or anything. I think the market is typically where you would look. I think right now there's a deficit of multifamily in the Fort Mill area, which is the reason why you're seeing a lot more of it. I think that's the reason why you're seeing rents increase, and the new units that are coming online are leasing up at a fairly rapid rate. Eventually, I think that equilibrium will be met, and you'll probably start to see a slowdown or possible reduction in rental rates, but for the time being, we're not seeing that in our area.
And how do we translate that into ensuring that we're not contributing to an already heavily traveled road system?
Well, obviously, any new development's going to contribute to an off-site traffic impact. This project, like most of our other projects, did complete a traffic impact analysis, and one of the recommendations from the revised mixed-use plan was to explicitly incorporate the off-site transportation improvements, which would be required by the developer and on what time frame.
I just think it's pretty commonsensical to think 2 cars per quarter-acre lot, or how many apartments on that quarter-acre lot with 2 parking spaces for each. It's not equitable from a traffic impact, so I can't see using the same equation, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, the equation's not the same. There's ITE data. Typically, an apartment, you have more units per acre, but a fewer number of trips per unit than you would from single family. The other benefit of having a mixed-use project like this is there will be future commercial on the property. And you can see we finally got the map up. All of the pink area on the property is set aside for future commercial development. The mixed-use master plan will allow up to 175,000 square feet. So you will have, anytime you have a mixed-use project, internal connectivity, meaning if somebody lives in an apartment and there's a grocery store or other retail elsewhere on the property, they wouldn't necessarily have to drive off the property in order to go to one of those commercial uses.
All right.
So
Okay.
really, all that's on the table for us right now is the additional setback and then the additional 10 units, but it still is not a change in density.
Correct. Compared to
Same
the
density
density at 47 acres, 235, maintaining the same 5 per acre at 49 acres would be 245, net increase of 10.
Okay, the current motion that we have on the table is to accept, and we have a second. If we are going to do anything with a modification, I'll need a second motion with that modification specifically worded. Do I have,
You gotta take care of the first motion first.
I thought we could replace it with one.
Amend the motion.
Amend the motion.
Amend the
Amend it, yeah.
motion. Excuse me, I didn't use the right word. No amendment?
I'm thinking.
Trying to think of how to say it. That's a lot of words.
Thinking how to say it, okay.
Where's my electric stick I'm supposed to have? I'll use this instead. Kidding.
I make an amendment to the motion to include the 25-foot setback and the additional density.
All right, we have a motion on the table to accept this item with the inclusion of a 25-foot setback to the right-of-way and to allow the 10 units with the additional 2 acres. Do I have a second to that motion, that amended motion?
I second that.
We have an amended motion and a second. Any further conversation?
How about the Springfield side? Do we have to?
That's already included in the
That's
draft
already,
ordinance.
the right of way on that's already included? Okay, never mind.
And I think on that side it was 40, if I remember.
Yeah, so I was
correctly.
trying to comb through here and see. Yeah, 40-foot setback on, yep, okay.
Okay, we have an amended motion and a second. No further conversation, discussion, question?
I think the additional 10 apartments is a moot point, personally. If we're talking about apartments versus no apartments, that's one thing. But 10 more, I think, is irrelevant.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay. Did you get that, Virginia? We had 1 nay. All right, old business item number 4. Second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the town of Fort Mill so as to change the zoning designation for York County tax map number 02005050005, containing approximately 6.36 plus or minus acres located at 513 Bank Street, from R25 residential to mixed use, MXU. This is Ward 2, Mr. Helms. Staff has recommended that we approve, and the Planning Commission recommendation was 5 to 1. to approve. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept old business item number 4.
Second.
I have a motion to accept and a second. Do we have any discussion or presentation? Joe?
In this property, council gave first reading at your last meeting back in January. Actually, this item and the following 2 items are all related to the Bank Street redevelopment project, where the current location of Bank Street Gym is and the former location of Fort Mill High School. The first of the 3 items is to rezone the school district's property, the old high school site. It's currently zoned R25. Applicant has requested mixed-use zoning, and both staff and planning commission have recommended it in favor of the rezoning.
Questions for Joe?
No changes since last time?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
No changes since last time. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Old business item number 5, second reading, an ordinance providing for the First Amendment to the development agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated so as to remove a 6.73 plus or minus acre portion of Tract 4 from the terms of the development agreement and other matters related thereto. This is Ward 2, Mr. Helms. The staff recommends that we approve. The Planning Commission recommendation was 4-2 to approve. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept old business item number 5.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second to approve old business item number 5. Questions, comments, changes, Joe, from last time?
No changes. This property covers Bank Street Gym and the old Fort Mill Community Playhouse. It's already zoned mixed use, so it does not need to be rezoned. But the property is covered by the Leroy Springs Development Agreement. And in order for the project to move forward, the applicant has requested that this property be removed from the Leroy Springs Agreement so that it could be subject to a separate mixed-use master plan, which is the next item on your agenda.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Old business item number 6, second reading. An ordinance adopting a mixed-use concept plan and development conditions for the Bank Street MXU project, Ward 2, Mr. Helms. Staff recommends that we approve with modifications. The Planning Commission recommendation was a split vote, 3 in favor and 3 opposed. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we accept old business item number 6.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to accept and a second. Joe, would you like to talk about the modifications that are being recommended by the staff?
Sure, and just for information, this is taking the school site, which you just approved the rezoning on from R25 MXU, and the current gym site, which you just approved, removing from the current Leroy Springs Development Agreement. This request is approving a new mixed-use master plan for the Bank Street mixed-use project, which will cover both of those parcels. Applicant is requesting approval to redevelop the property with up to 51 single-family residential units, and we did put a copy of the concept plan up on the screen. As part of this project, there were some modifications which were I would say discussed by the Planning Commission, was not included in the final recommendation because it was a split vote. We did, after the Planning Commission meeting, meet with the applicant. He was agreeable to all of the changes that were discussed at the Planning Commission meeting. So those are reflected in the second reading version of the ordinance. And just as an FYI, we do have 2 additional items under new business which would apply to Bank Street Gym. Of course, as you're aware, the town currently leases Bank Street Gym from Leroy Springs. Upon the closing, once you get to the new business items, those 2 items would, the first one would remove Bank Street Gym from our current Leroy Springs lease agreement, and then the second one would be to adopt a new lease agreement with Mr. Scott, who would become the new landlord for the project. So the lease will continue for a period of time, but this project would allow the property surrounding the gym to be redeveloped. And the applicant, who stated at the last meeting, has agreed that, among other things, he would go in and construct a new 65-space parking lot at the gym, which would definitely enhance the parking options compared to what's out there currently. So staff recommended in favor of the mixed-use master plan and the development conditions. And as we said before, the Planning Commission split on a 3-3 vote.
Questions?
So, go ahead.
What was the main concern about there? Why the split? I mean, what was their heartburn?
From some of the items that were discussed, if you look at the current zoning map and some of the aerial images, there are some other properties in the vicinity of this project which have slightly larger lot sizes than what's being proposed for the redevelopment project. But what we told Planning Commission, we would say the same thing to you. While those lots are larger today, the draft new zoning map would rezone those areas from, I think there are
25.
10, there are 10 today, and under the draft zoning map, those would be rezoned to R7. So at some point in time, some of those lots could be potentially subdivided in the future. But that was their primary item of discussion, was the lots would be smaller than some of the neighboring existing development.
Well, I'm looking at the ones on William Street. I don't see much. I mean, the ones right across the street, yes, maybe, but the ones up William Street and up the other side there, they're in consistency with that. I don't see that being an
Williams,
issue.
there's some smaller ones. Link Street, there's some smaller ones, but on Banks and Country Club Drive, there were some larger lots than the minimum size that would be proposed in the development conditions.
Well, you know, anytime, excuse me, anytime you go from one size lot to another, there's always that first row of houses that butts against a larger lot, and you have to have that. So I don't see that as a detriment.
Yeah, one of the things that the applicants proposed, which we thought was a benefit to neighboring property owners, was, you can see on the map here, along Bank Street, there will be a landscape corridor. Those lots, the back of the lots will actually front Bank Street, but there will be a pretty extensive landscape buffer that'll buffer those lots from existing development on Banks. A few of them will front Academy Street. I don't think there's any existing homes that front Academy Street today. But in the areas along Banks, there will be a pretty substantial buffer, a replanted buffer.
With this development, Joe, we already hear discussions about Bank Street and the condition of the actual road itself. How will that transition through this project? Because we know we'll have a few more construction trucks going in and so forth.
Yeah, Davey and I, Davey's here, we had discussed Bank Street, and I think that's being resurfaced on a list for resurfacing.
Okay.
By the state, right? Is that by the state?
I believe so.
So would we hold off until the subdivision's built out before we do that? I'd hate for us to repave and then have construction trucks coming in.
I mean, DOT will do it on DOT's schedule. They're not going to speed up or
No
slow
hurry?
down
It could get done tomorrow.
for a project.
If you delayed it, it might not happen.
Yeah.
Take whatever it gets.
I think if you look at DOT, that's a pretty good example. That was on a list for resurfacing,
Right.
even though the bypass was coming through and that whole intersection was realigned, they still went through and resurfaced all of Doby's Bridge Road. So I don't think we would have any control over that. It's, by subdivision standards, it's a fairly small project. I mean, 51 homes is still a decent-sized subdivision, but considering we have some that range from over 1,000 to 2,000, you know, it's a fairly small project.
I think if we just be mindful of the project and keep an eye and in touch with Public Works, they can help us as well.
I think it's going to be a good project. I mean, getting the parking lot that they're going to construct. I mean, that side of town, I see this right by the golf course. It's going to look really nice. I'm real excited about it.
I commend Mr. Scott on some of his latest efforts in renderings I've seen to accommodate that the style of the homes being built there would not be dramatically different from what you would see in the core of Fort Mill. So I think the care is certainly appreciated from my perspective. that instead of just building something, that you really are looking into what would fit. So I certainly appreciate that and commend you for that. Yes, sir.
Public speak? Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I won't say yes or no whether you
Well,
should, but go ahead.
My son lives at 600 Bank Street, which is right across the street.
Yes, sir.
Drainage off of that property was a big problem in the past. Will the landscaping that goes along that edge be dealing with the drainage from that property?
It would be my understanding, we have our water guy here, but my understanding is that anything that occurs must be in conjunction with today's standards for runoff. We have hired a professional, Greg Rushing is our professional engineer that does the work that has been requested and required of the state, so that every project has to have him review it. And I'm sure Mr. Scott will adhere to that, or we won't be able to allow construction. So it's one of those that we have new guidelines in place that are designed to better direct and better manage that type of runoff. Did I say that correctly, Joe and Dennis?
They'll have to do a SWIP for the whole project, and it will conform with all the rules and regulations.
Greg, any comments?
Nope, that covered it.
All right.
Thank you.
By all means. Any questions, comments further on this item? Okay, we have a motion to accept and a second. All those in agreement, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, old business item number 6. Old business item number 7, second reading, an ordinance providing for the First Amendment to the development agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Pace Development Group Incorporated so as to amend the setback requirements for future development on corner lots. This is Ward 4, Mr. Moody. Staff recommendation is to approve. I don't have any notification on Planning Commission recommendations on that one.
Yeah, that one wasn't changing any of the permitted uses or development for the property. It was
So
a
they don't
minor amendment, did not have to go before Planning Commission. This is a really
Whoa, I need a motion
Oh,
and a
sorry.
second.
I'll make a motion to accept old business item number 7.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please move forward.
This is really a very simple amendment. All it's doing is amending the setback requirements for the property we call the Huff Tract, now called Nims Village subdivision on Fort Mill Parkway across from the 3rd High School, I guess now Catawba Ridge High School. You can see, for example, if you look on here, lots 23 and 30, the R15 zoning district requires a 35-foot setback along both street frontages for lots which are located on a corner. And what that does is it requires some really long, odd, narrow-shaped lots. Applicant is simply requesting that for property that's located on a corner lot, rather than having two 35-foot front yard setbacks along both street frontages and two 10-foot side yard setbacks along interior property lines. Instead, that they be allowed to drop that to 35 feet on one side and then a reduced setback on the other side, and then have a 10-foot side and then a larger rear setback. So it would allow them just to square up some of those lots rather than having really long, awkward-looking rectangular-shaped houses to fit in on those corner lots.
Will that also impact lot number 31?
It would impact 31, 40, 30, 23, and
All corner lots, not just
61,
those two.
55, 4, and 62. And most of our mixed use and other projects where we have development conditions have that provision in place already. So this isn't out of line with what we have in other subdivisions. We look at it really more of an oversight in the current development agreement that really wasn't brought to everybody's attention until they went through and submitted the plat for preliminary plat approval.
So we're not necessarily giving permission for the homes to be closer together, but rather to accommodate a home that's not so long and narrow, correct?
Yeah, really the only item that a home would be closer to would be a street. On one side, it would actually bring the home further away from the property line, and on the other side, it would maintain a 10-foot setback.
Thank you. Any further questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. New business items. New business item number 1, consideration of an amendment to the existing lease agreement between the Town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated, so as to remove the gymnasium and surrounding improvements located at 490 Academy Street from the terms of the lease agreement and other matters related thereto. This item is eligible for discussion in executive session, and staff recommends that we approve. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept new business item number 1.
Have a motion? And a second. Questions? Comments?
Explain.
Explanation? Joe, I believe Mr. Helms would like a quick overview, or
Yes, please.
Discussion in business.
are we going to discuss it in executive session? Y'all quit pointing at each other. One of you speak.
Yeah, whichever, I was gonna recommend, Mayor, if you want,
Chop, chop.
if you wanna talk about this in executive session and come back, that's fine.
We can do that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll need a motion to move that to executive session, and that would be an amendment to the existing motion on the floor.
Make an amendment to new business item number 1, that we move that to executive session for discussion.
I have an amended motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. We will move this to the executive session and hopefully vote on it when we return. New business item number 2 is also eligible for discussion in executive session. Consideration of a lease agreement between the Town of Fort Mill and Scott Development Group regarding the gymnasium and surrounding improvements located at 490 Academy Street. Staff has recommended that we approve. Because this is an item that can go to executive session rather than having a motion and amendment, please be careful how you make your motion.
I'll make a
And be
motion
sure
that we
what you're
move-
saying, what you want to say.
Right. I make a motion that we move new business item number 2 to executive session, so that may be voted on when we come back.
I have a motion to move this item to executive session
Second.
and a second, and to return it when we come out of executive session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Thank you. Number 3, first reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance for the Town of Fort Mill, Article 2, requirements by district, Section 9, HC, Highway Commercial District, so as to add tool and equipment rental facilities as a conditional use within the HC district. Joe Cronin. Staff recommendation is that we approve, and the Planning Commission recommendation is pending for the 21st of this month. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we accept new business item number 3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions? Request for information from Joe? Anybody have need of additional information?
From what I understand, it seems to be Sunbelt is investing into our community once again, in addition to having their headquarters.
Mayor, I have to excuse myself from this vote. I'm connected to that with my other job.
Okay, Mr. Shirey, Councilman Shirey is recusing himself. Please take note of that. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor
Wait a
for
minute,
approval.
Hang on. Not so fast. If it just say we vote to approve it, then why is the planning commission gonna take it up on 221?
Because they haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, that chance right now.
This is the first
I know
opportunity
that,
that's coming up.
Would that be a moot point for them?
No, because this is just first reading.
Okay.
They have time before your second and final reading.
Yeah, they would, they're scheduled to review it at their meeting next Tuesday, and as long as they review it and provide a recommendation before second reading, then we're fine under state law.
Thank you.
Okay. Just thought I'd wait this time. All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any further questions, comments, or considerations? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. All righty then. New business item number 4, consideration of a memorandum of understanding between the Catawba Regional Council of Governments and the Town of Fort Mill for planning and GIS services. Staff recommends heartily that we approve. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we accept new business item number 4.
And I'll,
Second.
and I think we're all going to second that one. Any question as to the need that this happen as quickly as possible?
We already set money aside in the budget for this, did we not? When we
Yes.
did our, okay.
Yes.
Want to make sure we're good.
Good job.
We did.
Good job.
Do we want to explain for the public what it is that we're
Yeah.
doing?
Do you have a 2-sentence explanation?
Yeah, this is
Short
basically
sentences.
an on-call professional services agreement. Anytime the town requires any supplemental planning services from the COG, we use this agreement in order to have those services provided. I think that was 2 sentences.
I think you did a great job. You did a great job. I think this is certainly beneficial, and looking forward to working that with the COG. So, good job. Good job. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. New business item number 5, request to approve a contract in the amount of $70,000 with the Catawba Regional Council of Governments for professional services related to the Town of Fort Mill's 10-year comprehensive plan update. Staff has recommended that we approve. I need a motion.
Make a
Move to
motion. we
accept
approve.
new business item number 5.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to accept and a second. I think, in all fairness, for those that are sitting here, you may or may not know that this is the year that we are to work on our 10-year plan update. It is a very large and comprehensive effort on our part, and will take us the better part of this year to get through it. So certainly, this is a worthy item to consider. Questions, comments? Crickets.
It is budgeted, Mayor.
Crickets.
It is budgeted.
It is
Yes,
budgeted. All right, all those in approval, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. New business item number 6, first reading. An ordinance authorizing a second amendment to a development agreement by and between the Town of Fort Mill and Clear Springs Land Company, LLC, Clear Springs Kingsley, LLC, Close Family Real Estate Number 2, LLC, Clear Springs Springfield, LLC, Clear Springs Bradley Park, LLC, Springland Associates, LLC, Springland Incorporated, Ann Springs Close, Springfield Town Center, LLC, and Clear Springs KTC, LLC, to clarify the term of the agreement, to clarify the property subject to the development agreement, to amend the development schedule applicable to the subject property, to establish the terms of the provision of waterworks and sewer services to the subject property, and other matters relating thereto. Staff recommends approving. Planning Commission recommendation is pending the 21st meeting of this month.
Move to take this business item into executive session.
I don't believe it is, it doesn't say it's available. Oh,
Isn't
It
that part
is.
of that
Yeah.
agreement?
is that what we need to do?
We could. It's a contractual matter. Let me look and see if we.
It's
It's
in
item
there.
number 3 on the executive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you. It just doesn't note it. Okay, we have a motion to move this to executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, thank you. New business item number 7, first reading. An ordinance authorizing a second amendment to a development agreement by and between the Town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated to clarify the term of the agreement, to amend the development schedule applicable to the subject property, to establish the terms of the provision of waterworks and sewer services to the subject property, and other matters relating thereto. Staff recommends approve. Planning Commission recommendation is pending. Is this also an executive session item? Yes?
I think it's tied to number 3.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to move new business item number 7 to executive session.
Do I have all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. New business item number 8, first reading, flood ordinance update to meet FEMA requirements. Greg Rushing. I need a motion.
Make a motion, we accept new business item number 8.
And I have a second. All right, Greg, fire away.
Good evening. In the interest of time and the lengthy agenda, the flood ordinances are being updated because we've been issued new maps that will become effective in May. In order for the town to participate in the flood flood insurance program, we have to update our flood ordinance. as it was already written, it was almost a direct copy, but the modifications ended up being a couple of pages and cross-referenced numerous times. So we just took the Department of Natural Resources from South Carolina, just took their model ordinance and are moving to adopt that and just add that directly in place of our current ordinance. The new flood maps I've already have, if anybody wants to look at them. We've already been issued those, but they will become effective in May.
And are these more, a few years back, we went from a 100-year flood to a 500-year flood mark. Is it any related to that? Is it more?
That's what the flood maps delineate,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
And they're calling it the 1% flood now instead of the 100-year.
That dam
for
in
obvious
California.
reasons. But yes, that's part of it. It delineates floodways, 100-year, and the 0.2% flood, which is the 500-year. So yes, that's what those flood maps delineate.
All right.
Are we gonna?
Question, will this affect people's personal insurance as far as
It already does.
It's flood insurance.
Yes.
So generally speaking, there should not be any residential structures within the floodplains. The existing, they'll still be eligible for the same flood insurance program.
Are we gonna make the map, once we get all the maps, can we make them available? Or are we gonna put those on the website?
It is my intention of putting those on our GIS, which we are developing, and York County has those. I think their current maps already on their GIS online. But when the new ones are published, then they'll become available digitally, and we can link to them, yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any further questions on new business item number 7?
Eight.
Excuse
Just
me,
a
8.
point of interest. If we had a 200-year flood next week, that doesn't mean it's going to be 200 years before we have another flood. I lived in Raleigh, and in a month we had 3 200-year floods in 1 month's time.
And that's the whole purpose of them saying it is a 1% flood and a 0.2% flood. It's a statistical instead of referencing a year, because that's difficult to understand.
Further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of first reading approval, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. New business item number 8, approved. New business item number 9, thank you, Greg. Action item, council to approve the expenditure of $376,265 from the Municipal Facilities Impact Fee Fund to offset the cost to purchase 200 Tom Hall Street, the Comporium Building. Shantae is our expert. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept new business item number 9.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Welcome, Shantae, again.
Yes, ma'am. The initial funding plan to purchase 200 Tom Hall Street, which is also known as the Comporium property, included using Municipal Services Impact Fee funds. So we're asking for council's formal approval tonight to approve $376,265 for that purpose, with the remainder of the costs coming from the Capital Projects Fund.
Any questions for Shantae on the funding?
Is this all the money we have in that fund?
No.
That's what we had in that account at the end of December.
Okay, good.
That's fees plus interest.
About 421,000.
Yeah, so that'll leave 55K in there once everything goes.
And you could use that full amount if you want to go back. I mean, there's no reason to not use it if you want to.
I said
Well,
leave
we'll
a little in
continue
the
to-
bank.
We'll
Yeah,
continue.
but you got a time
Yeah.
element there, Mayor. You want to use it.
So if we wanted to
Is time-
use it,
what is
why
our-
did we, excuse me?
No.
If we wanted to use it all, why didn't we put that amount in the
Because
agenda
that was the numbers we had
at the end of the year?
At the end of December. Yes,
Agenda's
ma'am.
February?
We
Most of the time.
closed in
Yeah,
January.
let me say this. What typically is done, you can keep rolling in and reimburse yourself, because that is on our CIP, and that's what I would recommend you do.
Okay.
That as these funds come in, you keep reimbursing yourself towards that project.
I just want to make
So
sure what we
you get
vote
to
on
make
is
your motion
clearly
that way so
what
that
we
we
need to
can-
do. Yeah, is
Yeah.
this the,
But we do have other projects
We do.
that will come under that municipal impact pretty quickly as well, correct?
Yeah, but, I mean, think about it,
It's a wash.
it's
You
all
spend it on this
same.
project, you're gonna get more next month to spend on the
Use
next
it
one.
now, use it later, it doesn't matter, but you do want to pay down as much as you can, so you don't run into a time element issue.
What is the time element?
It's 3 years from the time, the CIP that you identified it on there for your expenditure.
Now, we will continue to receive those fees as projects are processed and permitted. So we'll continue to have a running total of funds,
Yep.
at which point you all will decide what we will do with
I mean, it's
those.
no different if you pick this project versus another one that's going to be $1 million or $500,000. You're still going to have to use it, and it'd be easier to
Sure.
track one project than track 5 projects.
Sure.
So I would
And we do
recommend you
have-
reimburse yourself as those funds come in
We do,
up to the purchase amount.
we do have some additional funds budgeted for the upfit of the building that we have to do, as well as for some furnishings and whatnot, so
That's right.
we could do that.
So,
Do we need
do we need an amended
Yeah, I would amend the
vote?
motion to
Can we
state
get
that.
what's the new number again?
Yeah.
Well, wait, this one has already been identified, the 360, the 376,
Right.
265. That's already been earmarked.
Okay.
But you can
Yeah,
add to reimburse yourself as those monies are collected toward, up to the purchase amount. And that's what I would recommend you do.
Okay, one more time.
Yeah, really.
In other words, you're approving the amount Shante said, but add in your motion that you authorize finance director to move those monies to reimburse the town for that particular project as monies are received,
You got
up
Why
to
don't
the
we
purchase
approve
amount.
what's in the order tonight, and then
Take my
we,
word, this ain't gonna do it, Mayor, I promise. You don't wanna track 10 different projects. And this
So
is
the
what's
way-
commonly
Just
done.
rolling forward, as we receive the monies,
That's
it
right.
essentially makes the payment.
Yeah,
Am I
you're paying
right?
yourself back.
Right.
It's just gonna go back into your surplus in your general fund, freeze up that money.
In general fund or back to capital?
No, back, you can put it back in capital later if you want, at the end of the year,
I'm gonna pull my
from
hair out.
surplus.
Shantae,
Okay.
speak.
The building purchase was capital money and municipal facilities impact fee money. We do have some money set aside in the general fund for upfit
Yeah, that's
and
not
for
the question.
furnishings.
That's not the question.
And so what Mr. Pieper is saying is that we can reimburse ourselves. And he said general fund, meaning when we spend that money, we can reimburse ourselves from the municipal facilities fund.
That's right.
Do we need to word a motion to that effect? And does there need to be, I mean, there's no limitation other than,
I just need your motion to be clear enough to identify the 376, 265.
Right. Mayor, this is just like when you do bonds, you know, in the past, remember how lawyers always put a reimbursement resolution in there? That's exactly, basically what I'm saying you do. So I would just add to your motion that you authorize finance director to move those funds back as they are received up to the purchase amount, to your capital fund. Is that what you want to put it, in the capital fund?
Now, you said general
Well,
fund, so.
You can go
what-
wherever
what-
you want. I mean, at this point, once it comes back, it's fine. You're reimbursing yourself. So whatever you want to do, Shante.
We
there,
could
it's
do
fine.
either,
Yeah, you
whichever
don't
the
mind.
council prefers. We could do either.
council, what say you?
Yeah.
Now, that's real clear.
Ronnie, you can't vote. I'm kidding.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
why don't we have Shante write that on a piece of paper and
We'll write it.
But I need you to understand what you're
Yes, we
acting on.
do. I think that's exceedingly important because I don't want a shell of any kind game. I want to know
This
clearly
is-
what we're doing.
I think it's two things here that we're talking about you all doing. Number one, authorizing the expenditure of
I'm
$376,265.
good on that.
And number two, you're authorizing us to reimburse ourselves from that fund for any expenditures towards the upfit of the purchase
Nicely
over
said.
here on Tom Hall Street.
Nicely said. Can someone amend the motion to that effect? Come on.
I think Dennis is writing it out.
I know, but I can amend it. I will make a motion to amend the one on the floor to accept this. The amendment is to accept the current figure of $376,265 and to allow the town to reimburse itself with future expenditures from that fund.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have placed a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have a second. Do we have any further questions?
I think you may just want to clarify the reimbursement can only be for eligible capital improvements.
I'm looking that woman in the eye, and I know that's going to happen. But you're right, Joe.
Well, make it
For any
plain.
eligible
Capital.
capital
improvements.
improvements.
Because you can't use impact fees for like furnishings and those kind of things.
Correct.
but
Correct.
For the facility itself and upfits and capital improvements, those would be eligible.
All right. That is clear as mud. Council, all those in favor of the amended and seconded motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay, none. All right. Thank you,
Yes,
Shantae.
ma'am.
Thank you very much. New business item number 10, roof bid tabulation for new town hall facility located at 200 Tom Hall Street. Let's change the name, Town Hall Street, Fort Mill, South Carolina. Dennis,
I'll make a motion to temporarily suspend the procurement policy in order to accept and award the bid for the roof replacement at the new town hall facility located at 200 Tom Hall Street, Fort Mill, to Dry Tech Commercial Roofing Services Incorporated in the amount of $75,800.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Dennis, would you like to say anything about that?
Yes, Mayor. This is the bids we're taking on this facility, and Ms. McCarley, if you can add, plus any insulation costs that needs to be, we don't know what that number will be until they rip the roof off.
Okay,
So,
so, yes.
you know, it's a per square foot price on the bid, and that I have no clue until the roof is torn off. But anyway, this will allow for the replacement of the roof on the new town hall facility.
And this is a cost savings measure, a correct measure for us to take for this particular building. Do I have any questions, comments, requests?
Was the condition of the roof taken into account when we agreed to buy the building?
Yes, sir, and we
Yes.
negotiated half of that
Yes,
cost
we
back.
did. Further questions?
Are we getting any kind of a warranty on that once the work's
Yes.
completed?
We will.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Lisa, did you want to?
Yeah, so no other questions. I'll make a motion, or an addendum to the motion, that it would be inclusive of any additional cost at the price of $150 per square foot for removal as well.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second to that addended motion? I have a second. Do we have clarity on what we're voting on?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. New business item number 11. Memorandum of Understanding by the Town of Fort Mill and Jason Cloud doing business as Hobo's Restaurant. JM and JC LLC doing business as Hobo's for the use of trash receptacle. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept new business item number 11.
Do I
Second.
have a motion and a second? Do we need additional information? This is in regards to the new receptacle that has been placed behind the west side of Main Street.
Are we still doing the service out on that?
No.
Our truck is not picking up that garbage?
No.
Can we get something on here then, just in case those trucks come swinging in there and knock the brand-new corral apart, that they're responsible for that? I didn't see anything in here.
We can add something in there. I'm sure they'd agree to that. I mean, they're going to go against the carrier on that if that happens.
Right.
Okay.
And then I also understand by reading the MOU that we'll still be providing services for every other business there, that this receptacle's just for Hobo's?
No, that is not correct.
We've already discontinued service completely up there.
And I think it's important to point out that this is also making us more in keeping with what the ordinance is for businesses and collection of trash. The receptacle looks a lot better and will be a lot more serviceable for those businesses that have had multiple roll carts and oil bins and trash boxes littering the area that their customers are walking through, and it will certainly allow us to do a better job in that parking lot.
Certainly looking forward to sitting outside at Hobos and not smelling
Smelling
that
that.
trash.
Yes, well, that'd be nice. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Committee reports. Report of the Facade Improvement Grant Committee. Recommendations for fiscal year 2016-17 Facade Improvement Grant. The Cutting Room, 241 Main Street, James Steve Mobley, and Old Center Theater, 100 Main Street, Jordan Wizenowski. Did I do it?
Sounds right.
Did I slaughter it? I didn't mean to. Wizenowski. All right. Do I have a motion? No, we don't need a motion on committee reports. Who's making this report?
Joe is.
Joe? Thank you.
Last Thursday, the Facade Improvement Grant Committee, consisting of myself, Assistant Planner Chris Pettit, and Building Official Eric Williams, convened to review two applications that came in prior to the deadline for the town's new Facade Improvement Grant program. Those projects were for a new sign at the old Center Theater building at 100 Main Street, as well as some refreshing, repainting, and a new awning at 241 Main Street, home of the Cutting Room. The committee reviewed the applications, found both to be substantially in compliance with the requirements established by council for the Facade Improvement Grant Program. I'll pull up some images of the projects. This is for the Old Center Theater. They'll be installing a new marquee sign at the front of the building. They're actually going in. I'm sure you've seen a lot of work taking place at that building. They'll be restoring the front back to more closer interpretation of the original brick design of the building. But the purpose of their grant is to have a new sign. It won't be an exact replica, but it will be pretty close to the original Center Theater sign that used to be on that building. Even down to, we found some old pictures. That C logo is actually the same logo that used to be on the old Center Theater building. So the committee did recommend fully funding a grant of $5,000 for the old Center Theater sign. For the Cutting Room, again, they had requested approval for funding to install a new awning at the front of the building, as well as to repaint and just freshen up the exterior of the building. One of the items that did come in that we had a little bit of concern with was they were seeking approval to close in these two windows. And they're actually, if you look on either from the building or on a street view on Google, it appears that they just put some interior walls in front of the old windows. So the committee actually recommended, even though they had asked for a grant of $4,000, to approve a grant of up to 50% of the project, not including 50%, not exceeding $5,000, on the condition that in lieu of covering those up, they either replace them with brick to match the existing building, and then when they repaint the whole thing, they'll just kind of be blended in, or to replace them with some other form of alternate window. So even though they've asked for 4, the recommendation was to approve up to 5 on the condition that they have some other alternative method, which was appropriate as judged by the Historic Review Board, in lieu of just covering those up with plywood or something else. So the committee's recommendations was to approve those 2 grants, 50% of the project cost, not to exceed $5,000, for a total cost of $10,000, subject to review and approval by the Historic Review Board. In approving these, we would also request that you authorize staff to enter into a grant agreement, which will be drafted by the town attorney, governing how the funds will be given to the applicant and what steps they'll have to go through as part of the reporting process. And just for public information, we do have a total of $20,000 available this year, so if you approve these two, there still will be up to $10,000 remaining. If there are any additional building owners who would like to apply for funding this year, even though we are past the deadline, our regulations say as long as there is funding available, we would continue to accept applications until the funding is extinguished.
I think great things are happening downtown. I love all of the improvements being made by all of our business owners in our community downtown. They're doing a fabulous job. I'd once again like to commend the Fort Mill Economic Development Council for their contribution of $5,000 towards this program. These are matching grants. These are not gifts. Everybody has to have some skin in the game, and I'm really proud that everyone's stepping up and doing what they're doing to make our downtown a great place to visit. So thanks for the program and the work. Any questions for Joe?
I'd just comment, Davey, I'd like to see us put on our sidewalk list of improvements outside the cutting room here, because they're making all these improvements to the exterior, but when you look at walking along Tom Hall to the back side of the property, that sidewalk's in kind of rough condition. So if they're going to put this effort into, I'd love to see if we could add that to our list as well, please.
Actually, the whole corridor between the History Museum and that area is pretty rough. I'd also like to see other business owners take the same efforts to improve, because that's where the parking is on that side, so your customers are going through that area. So definitely would like to see us do what we can and see what others can do as well.
With the business right behind the cutting room, I think it's Wild Homes, that had the fire there previously, would they be eligible for this fund?
Yes.
So it'd be nice if they could do the work, fix it up.
Now, if nobody comes back the rest of this year and asks for that extra 10 grand we have sitting there, that rolls over to next year, or does that have to go back to the general fund?
Depends on what you budget. I mean, if y'all approve it, we can.
Yeah, that would be a policy decision of council if you wanted to roll it over, or if not, it would just roll back into the general fund at the end of the year.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Items for information and discussion. Item number 1, consideration of a request. Do I need to vote? Do I need to vote? Yes, I need to secure a vote.
Yeah, on the grants.
Okie dokie. I thought we just gave those. Sorry about that. Do we have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to accept the recommendations as provided by the grant committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you for keeping us straight. Information discussion item number 1, consideration of a request from the Pulte Group to approve a maintenance agreement with the South Carolina Department of Transportation for the installation of a mast arm pole at the existing signalized intersection of Springfield Parkway, Old Nation Road, and Carolina Orchards Boulevard. Do I have a motion that we open this item? Do I need a motion on this one? You guys are so frustrating.
You're not being asked to vote. You're not being asked to vote on anything tonight. This is just purely for information and discussion.
All right.
If you recall, last year, Pulte had submitted a request to install a new traffic signal at York Southern Road and Old Nation Road. And council had concerns about a signal in that location, did not approve that at that time. Pulte has since approached the town about replacing the existing signal at this is Springfield Parkway, running from left to right, Carolina Orchards Boulevard towards the top, and Old Nation Road. It's basically the main entrance to the Carolina Orchards subdivision. Right now, it just has your typical metal posts and your wire or cable holding up the traffic signal. Pulte is interested and is willing to pay the upfront cost to replace that signal with a mast arm pole. SCDOT will allow it, but SCDOT will not enter into private maintenance agreements with non-governmental entities. So we have done this in other locations throughout the town where the town has agreed to step in and entered into the agreement with DOT to provide maintenance on that signal should it ever need to be maintained at some point in the future. So Paul T is asking now for the town to agree to move forward and enter into an agreement with DOT on the condition that they would install the signal and that the town would accept any future maintenance responsibility for that.
Alrighty.
So,
Since we require no vote on this, does anyone have any questions for Joe?
So who would be responsible for the maintenance?
well, under the agreement, the town would be the official party responsible. Now, if there's anything like a signal malfunctions or anything like that, DOT would still maintain the signals themselves. But if you recall, we had an incident up over here at Claiborne and North White Street a little while back. I think somebody either the tree fall on it or yeah. And so in order to replace that, the town was on the hook for replacing the signal. I don't think there's anything that would prohibit us from entering into a separate agreement with the HOA for Carolina Orchards that would say if we in turn had to maintain the signal or replace the signal in the future, that the HOA would agree to reimburse the town for those costs. So if this is something you're thinking about possibly approving, that would be some information we'd be happy to take back to Paul T. But before we had a formal request for you to vote on, we just wanted to float it by you and see if it was something you were even willing to consider.
How much is brand new traffic signal? Ballpark.
The mast arm pull?
Yeah.
Well, Davey just replaced one.
I was gonna say 80 to 100.
I think it would depend.
For the set. That's not each.
How much was the one that we had to replace every year?
Probably half of that if it was for one.
I'd want to know where it sits in the priority of other items before I could make a decision on whether I'd be interested in it or not.
I definitely feel like that HOA needs to have.
I was going to say, so there would be no cost to us until it's time to repair, correct?
That's right. I mean, you could have the HOA responsible for the maintenance and for the replacement.
Yeah, they just couldn't sign the
in the
agreement
school
with
did
DOT.
theirs, they
Basically, it'd be
maintained
like the town serving as a pass-through or a conduit.
Right.
Yeah, I think we should have an agreement with the HOA.
Yeah.
And they're not looking to change any of the signaling, they just want to upgrade what it all hangs on, correct?
Yep, I agree with that.
I'd be willing to move forward if we had an MOU.
Yes, something in writing, please.
Abbreviation, MOU with HOA.
Yeah, MOU with HOA. Okay.
ASAP.
MOU HOA ASAP. I'm gonna write it down. I got it.
I think you had that backwards, Dennis. It's HOA MOU. All right, we get a little punch here. Do I have a motion? Please note that as we approach executive session, council may take action on executive session items listed on the agenda when we come back into public session. The executive session items this evening are a discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements with Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated. Item number 2, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements with Scott Development Group. And executive session item number 3, discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements, oh boy, with Clear Springs Land Company LLC, Clear Springs Kingsley LLC, Close Family Real Estate Number 2 LLC, Clear Springs-Springfield LLC, Clear Springs Bradley Park LLC, Springland Associates LLC, Springland Incorporated, and Springs Close and Clear Springs KTC LLC. EIEO. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Executive session to discuss executive session items 1, 2, and 3.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you all for your patience. We shall return. There you go. All right. Let it be known that no vote was taken in executive session. Can I have a vote to return to public session?
return from executive session.
I have a motion to return
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, we will need to revisit new business item number 1, consideration of an amendment to the existing lease agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated so as to remove the gymnasium and surrounding improvements located at 490 Academy Street from the terms of the lease agreement and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept new business item number 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right. We also need to revisit new business item number 2, consideration of a lease agreement between the town of Fort Mill and Scott Development Group regarding the gymnasium and surrounding improvements located at 490 Academy Street. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept new business item number 2.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. We will now move to new business item number 6 for revisiting, first reading. Jeez. An ordinance authorizing a second amendment to a development agreement by and between the town of Fort Mill and Clear Springs Land Company LLC, Clear Springs Kingsley LLC, Close Family Real Estate Number 2 LLC, Clear Springs Springfield LLC, Clear Springs Bradley Park LLC, Springland Associates LLC, Springland Incorporated, and Springs Close Springfield Town Center LLC, and Clear Springs KTC LLC, to clarify the term of the agreement, to clarify the property subject to the development agreement, and to amend the development schedule applicable to the subject property, to establish the terms of the provision of waterworks and sewer services to the subject property and other matters relating thereto. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept new business item number 6.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do you have any additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, new business item number 7, first reading, an ordinance authorizing a second amendment to the development agreement by and between the town of Fort Mill and Leroy Springs and Company Incorporated to clarify the term of the agreement, to amend the development schedule applicable to the subject property, to establish the terms of the provision of waterworks and sewer services to the subject property and other matters relating thereto. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept new business item number 7.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Alrighty then. I do believe that that clears us. Yeah, really. Okay, let's do a quick around the table. I would like to state that although this has been the largest agenda that I've seen since I've been on council, a lot of work went into preparing this agenda, and even though it may have appeared that we were rushing the items, we're simply rushing the statement of the items, not the information gathering nor the decision making. I did not ever intend to rush anyone into making a quick decision. Always ask the question and hold it up if there's something you're not sure of, so that we can all be in unison in making the policies that we want for this community. Chris, what you got?
This past Saturday, I had the privilege of going out to the Fort Mill Care Center out on Old Nation Road, and a guy from my church is on the board out there, and took my son, he was 7 years old, out there with us, and we were building shelves to put all the food. They were moving their facility from up here off Confederate, and walked in with my son, and he said, "Well, Dad, what's all this food for?" And I said, "Well, it's for all the people that don't have food." You know, and it kind of drove the point home, and he's like, "Well, wait, people don't have food at their house?" And so he was sitting there handing us nails and screws the whole time, but we just had a great time of fellowship out there, just really building that facility and really just building shells. And Paul Mitchell was out there, actually, and so it was good to catch up with him. But we'll be doing that again this Saturday at 9 o'clock. So look forward to continue to serve in that capacity. So
Awesome. Thanks for your service.
Yeah.
Ronnie?
I'm good.
Ronnie's good. Mr. Huntley?
A couple items. Been I got a little bit more time on my hands than a lot of y'all do, since y'all out in the real world and I'm not. I come in here a lot more than a lot of people, and I'm always amazed at our staff on both sides of the building. I've never come in here that I thought anybody's goofing off. They're always working hard. They're good, dedicated people, and I appreciate that. I think the town, and this is, go back to David and his crowd, really looks good. For a long time, the gutters were my little pet peeve, and they're really looking good, and I appreciate it, David. And also, a lot of the work that we're having done in Paradise is coming to fruition now. They're paving, I think it's Joe Louis Street.
That's right.
So that's coming along.
Excellent. Jamie?
Just this weather's getting a lot warmer. There's a lot more motorcyclists out on the road. I saw 2 accidents on my way back from Raleigh, so just be, mindful of that. And to tie into what you and Larry just said, we have amazing staff. It may look like we blow through a lot of this stuff, but we don't. We get a lot of information. They do a lot of background for us so that we can sit here and make educated and informative decisions without belaboring it. So we're sitting here till midnight talking about a subject. And then again, with the weather coming in, I see a lot of people are trimming their trees and everything like that, just to make sure that you're not blocking traffic as it goes in. Oh. No, not on ladders. But I saw branches and everything all hanging in the middle of the road, and allowed Davies' crew and everybody to get in there and do what they need to do, clear it out of there. Just be mindful of that. That's all.
Thank you. Lisa?
Want to thank our Parks and Rec department. We've got Brown in the house with us tonight as we're about to wrap up our basketball season. Excited to see what semifinals bring for my daughter's team on Wednesday night. But thank you so much for being as efficient as you guys are in these programs and the opportunities for our children of all ages. We have adult programs as well. It was pretty interesting a couple of Saturday nights ago, and there were a lot of teenagers from high school that were there on a Saturday night playing basketball with our Breckwood League. And I can't think of anything better for these kids to be doing on a Saturday night than out there just cheering each other on. They had a pretty good fan base come in to watch them, and a lot of kids out there playing ball for a Saturday night. So thank you for the opportunity to provide that program for our people in Fort Mill.
Absolutely. I want to tag on. I've never seen the town grounds look as well as they do. The removal of the ridiculously old and decrepit juniper, the new it's amazing how much better things look. It looks like we care, and I know you do, and your folks have been great at managing that, Davey. Thank you so much. Joe, Dennis, Brown, thank you, Greg, for all the information gathering. Virginia, you are a saint. Thank you so very much for everything you do to make all of us able to work together and get as much done as we can. Chipper, thanks for not letting it burn down, buddy. We're good. Barry, thank you for keeping me straight on all the words I need to say. With that, proud it's Valentine's Day. Share the love. Thank you so much.
I got one question.
No, your time's up.
I know. Davey, are you familiar with the paving over on Park Drive?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Well, I haven't seen the states coming in and doing that around town.
Yeah, I know. The residents of ours complaining because of the way it's been paved. It's got gaps in the pavement. And
I
haven't run over and looked at it myself, but I was told Saturday.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's their project. They didn't make us aware they were coming in to do it. They just
said they
shot it.
As much as they've done, they could have done the whole street instead of the patches they've done. And then they left gaps in it. And said the asphalt piled up on the sides of the roads too.
Dennis, you had something?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you. Mayor and Council, first of all, thank y'all for what you do and for recognizing what the staff does too. We got a great team, and as many of you noted, everybody's working very hard. It is very busy, but we are getting the job done, and we appreciate what you do. Just a couple of things I want to note real quick. Under employee wellness, Debbie has come out with a program and has done great.
She's awesome.
We had a voluntary walking program, and I can tell you a lot of employees have taken advantage of that, and in just 3 weeks combined, we have walked 587.5 miles.
Did you add my 6 miles, 6.5 yesterday?
593.
Yes, I logged 6.5 yesterday.
And that's in 3 weeks. So our wellness program's going great. I want to thank Debbie and everyone for that, and the employees for getting themselves in better shape.
Excellent.
I also want to send out a special thank you to our building official and our fire marshal. They went out on a Saturday to do inspections for the Marriott to get it CO'd and get it opened up. They did a great job, planning department, everybody pulled together to get that project done and get them CO'd and operational, so thanks to everybody for that. And we got a great team.
I'd like
Thank
to
everybody.
add on to that I've been by here going to work on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I see town employees' cars here working that aren't hourly paid. They actually are coming in to accommodate the needs of the town.
That's right.
And I greatly appreciate it and would like for everyone to recognize their efforts.
Same thing, we had that past ICE event, you know, one of our building inspectors came in just to get a person hooked back up to permanent power because their power line had broken. So everybody's doing a great job.
I'd like to caution on this walking. About 2 months ago, one of my uncles started walking a mile a day. We have no idea where he is now.
Move to adjourn.
A second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.